Welcome, welcome. This is Mappa, the very first and only Cypriot football podcast. I'm Stel. I've got Roy here and also Kyri from Cyprus Mail. Welcome, gentlemen. Roy, how you doing?
I'm fine, man. I'm fine. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm pretty sure it's going to be really interesting, and I hope that people are going to love it as much as they do the No Choftas podcast. Hopefully, people from other countries are going to, find some interest about the Cypriot League that maybe, and rightly so for some, is underestimated, but maybe we can change their mind and make more people interested.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to have Kyri on the show as well. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a very nice addition to what we're trying to do.
100%. Well, Kyri, welcome to the podcast, mate. And you're going to be the third wheel, the third cog in this machine of ours,
Thanks for having me on, guys. Really excited to see how the season unfolds. And yeah, like Roy said, let's see if we can make people more interested in Cypriot football. It's not for a lack of intrigue in the background, that for sure.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, look, let's talk about your beloved Apollon then, because it's all change again, but it's a new regime. It's a new attitude. Are you confident going into this season?
I'll say the same thing that I said to a friend about a month ago before, being knocked out of Europe and everything, which is no. But Apollon was at the end of a cycle like last year, maybe even 2 years ago. And actually the renewal act was a bit delayed even. The board should have been a bit more decisive with their managerial options and with the players and with contracts. And yeah, it's a renewal. Now, the thing is, everyone said, well, it's a new manager, it's a new squad, there's going to be a lot of changes. We need to give them time. But this being Cyprus, 2 losses in Europe, or like a draw and a loss in Europe. And now, they want to throw everyone out, out of the squad. And okay, I kind of get it because they've been a bit tied with the president a little bit and with the situation with the quote unquote technical director, who's not the technical director. There's been a whole lot of shtick, with Gonnafis. And so, yeah, there's negativity, but it's early days. I don't really mind being knocked out of Europe. I think Cypriot teams really overvalued this first month. Obviously, there's the monetary incentive of being in Europe and making it to the group stage. And, it's really exciting for fans if they get to travel during the group stage and everything. I completely understand that. But in terms of evaluating, the manager or the squad, it's so early during the season. So I'm cautiously pessimistic. Is that even a thing? Something like that. Yeah.
Mm. Well, it's interesting because Skembri's come in as some kind of technical director who we know from his time at Oman and obviously Apollon. Zorniger came in, the head coach, replaced Bedragi, who he did pretty well last season. To be Bedragi, he started off well with Olympiacos and he got the job at Apollon, but I guess the target was the title, and they felt the final hurdle. And big changes, especially when it comes to the transfers. Mavrias has come in from Omonia, Greek international fullback. Iliev has also come in, pretty decent footballer. But I guess for me, the interesting one is whether Dingini will come back as the same player, because last season he had a phenomenal goal-scoring season, first year in Cyprus. Then he got a cruciate injury, and we don't know what's going to happen. So is he the vital cog that you guys need to really go for that title this season?
I don't think it would be fair to pin that title on Dingini. He was one of the few unquestionable bright spots like last season. Not just his goals, which were really, really crucial whenever he chipped in with a goal, but he's just a really good player. First touch, positioning, teamwork, passing. It's just really, really good player for Cyprus. But Petragis came in. He was okay tactically. Usually he started the games wrong and then he was quick to fix it halfway through the game. The biggest example was Anorthosis in Limassol last year. Like Anorthosis had a storming first half, and then he switched a few things around, and Apollon turned the game around as well. But yeah, Dini, like after a cruciate, he's going to come mid-season. Yeah, I wouldn't put too much hope on him specifically. It's all about what everyone else is going to do. Like a lot of players between 21 and 28, 29 years old. So there's a lot of question marks about the Apollon squad at the moment. With the manager, he's been trying to implement this new pressing style that the team wasn't really used to. He's got, new squad, new players. It's tricky. I mean, even the best managers in the world, in the best leagues in the world with like really good players, it takes time to implement coherent pressing, playing from the back. Like the first game against Zilina, like Apollon tried to play from back. It was a complete disaster. Like Adelaris was playing like a CD role. He was a bit slow and didn't have really like the agility to bypass any pressing. It was tricky. It was a lot of players missing as well. But I think he'll need some time, the manager, to see how he manages to implement his ideas with the squad. But we'll see. I mean, the final squad hasn't even settled yet, which is, to relate back to last year's champions, like one of the best things about Omonia the last 3 years is having like that stability, like a core of players, the manager being allowed to implement certain ideas, like being able to add and remove a few players here and there rather than make wholesale changes.
Fantastic. Well, I think there's one player to look out for this season. That's Wellington, the central defender. His range of passing is fantastic. But as you said, the pressing game is something that is trying to get drummed into. And I saw an advert the other day for season tickets, and they were basically saying it's a new era at the club. We're focusing on the new stadium, which should be ready in 2023, I believe. So I do believe that Zorniger is the man that they want to stick with, but fans are impatient, especially in Cyprus. And I don't know whether the president will back down to any fans that say, right, we want to get rid of this guy, or he's going to turn around and say, fuck you guys. This is my plan. This is how it's going to be. And we need to just continue with the philosophy, so to speak. But Roy, let's talk about APOEL then, the other club in Limassol. Interesting start to their season. Knocked out of the Europa League. The Conference League? Sorry, the qualifiers. They lost at Karabag. But they're another club with big signings have come in. Shepovic, Marcos' brother, has come in as a striker. They've lost Danilo to APOEL. They've still got my favorite goalkeeper, Rosinha. There's a running joke between me and Roy and Rosinha. Yeah. But what do you make of them this coming season, Filemon? Because they lost Ryan Meyer, who was pivotal to them last season. Obviously, Danilo. So can you see them being a major threat?
Listen, before I talk about APOEL, a general thing I'd like to say is that obviously the things we're saying are hypothetical. The transfer window is still open. So even though a lot of teams have added a lot of players, there's still going to be some final touches to all the squads. Omonia and APOEL are the two teams that are similar in the sense that APOEL on the one hand got starting the season with the manager for the fourth year, if I'm not mistaken. Even though we've said that APOEL they haven't brought in. Actually, they brought in 10 players because I was trying to do a bit of homework before we started the show. I thought APOEL signed like 5 or 6, but they signed 10 players. But still, the two key players for me are Danilo and Mae. And Danilo is going to be replaced by Pelé, who I don't really know what to say about him. But Shepovic, at least the first few games, showed that he can fill in Mae's shoes, but they're completely different players, very different players. But I do see APOEL being a title contender till the end. I don't see how they can destroy the picture they had this far, the last couple of seasons, because they've been building it. So I think that they're going to be competitive. They're going to be solid. They're going to be a very good team. And this is what I believe for AEL. Apollon, I agree with what Kyri said. And APOEL, who also signed a lot of players. The difference between APOEL and Apollon is that APOEL signed players who we know because most of them played in Cyprus in the past, because Apollon signed a lot of players that no one knows here in Cyprus. So that's another question mark. Because Apollon's trying to change the style of play, and I don't think a lot of people are going to be very patient with. They already got disqualified, knocked out of the European game. So if they do start and have a bad beginning to the season, I don't know how easy it's going to be for Girizis to keep the players and Zorniger. But I believe that time's going to work for Apollon. If they let them work, I'm pretty sure Apollon a few months from now is going to be seen. Yeah, if you want, sorry.
No, I was going to say for APOEL, I mean, they made some statement signings, like major statements, like several of Anorthosis key players from last year, like Georgian internationals. Big money players. Like I was surprised that they left being managed by Getspaya to join another club in Cyprus. And Anton Maglica as well, huge signing.
Croatian, yeah. Very big signing for APOEL. Very big. Well, let's talk about them then, because Roy and I don't have much love for them. But to be fair, they've gone very aggressive in the transfer market. Very aggressive in this, and it not concerns me, but it confuses me as to how they've managed to afford to bring in these players, Kyri, with the debt that they're in, or was it 12 million or 8 million or 20 million, whatever it is. There's still millions of euros in debt, but yet they're still able to fork out 250 grand a year on Ogreashvili and X amount on Gvilidaya. So many players they brought in, as you mentioned. But for me, it's like what you said with Zorniger. I think Bursa is on a tightrope already, because some of these players, from what I've heard, he didn't want. Some of the players he did want. But again, he came in, he galvanized them when Mick McCarthy was sacked, or Uzunidis, or whoever the fuck was there beforehand, because last season was a bit fractious for him. But yeah, I think Bursa's on a tightrope. What do you reckon?
I mean, the thing is, last season was so bad for them, like catastrophic. I don't remember the last time I had a season like that. And of course, of all clubs, Omonia pounced on it. The contrast was huge between the emotions. But no, I'm shocked. Like, I'm mildly shocked at the players that they've managed to sign after the previous 2 seasons, because it's 2 seasons running, not being, doing well, knocked out of Europe, so missed out on that money, the European competition money. But it's a question. I mean, I remember a stat from last year that they owed like 1.5 million or 1.8 in just early player and manager contract terminations. Just terminating contracts early was like 2 million euros almost. So it's a question. But Cypriot sports writer Zavos, like, he wrote, like, asking in Cyprus, the land of like money laundering, where money came from. I mean, this is all alleged and speculative, obviously, but who knows? I mean, who knows how anything is afforded here? So, but I think they're also going big because I think they're aiming, maybe not the league, but I think if they finish second, I think the second place team goes to Champions League, right? So I think that's the big bet for them. Yeah,
that's massive, isn't it? That's massive for Cyprus. Because, we know APOEL's history in the Champions League. We know Anorthosis' history in the Champions League. So it's a massive incentive for both clubs, but obviously the chasing pack. So in closing, I don't really want to talk too much about APOEL here, Kyri, which is why I leave it to you. Is it make or break for them then? Because Roy and I have spoken about this before, and it's almost as if, I think, Roy, what was the term that you used? All in for Manitara.
Yeah, but I
Sorry.
also added, that maybe the term all in is not right, because all in is with the money you have. When it's money that's not yours, because that's when you're in debt, they're in debt, and you can't help but wonder where he found this money. Obviously, it's not his. He didn't have it saved somewhere. He's like, guys, I saved this for a rainy day, and now I'm buying all these players. So, yeah, I don't know, because as Omonia fans, we paid a very hefty fee for doing that like 10, 12 years ago, and we're still paying for it as well, even though people think, now with Papastavro, everything's fine. Everything's not fine. We owe more than 12 to 13 million still to Somadio, the club. It cost us our ultras and our fans to leave. And I can't help but wonder what's going to happen if things in the pitch don't go well and they don't get the results, because it's not just, when you don't have money, everything's the quality of the services and the products you go with your second, third, fourth options. And I don't know how easy it's going to be for APOEL. Also, Bursa, even though he's a good tactician, I don't know if he's got the personality to handle all these star players he brought in. And like Kyri said, if Getspaya couldn't handle these three Georgian players who are explosive characters as well, I don't know, because don't forget they've got De Vicenti, who is not a very good boy, and now it's very difficult to maintain the balance in the dressing room as well. And I'm very curious to see that as well. I'm sure APOEL is going to win a lot of games because of the quality they added. But for me, like I said, the podcast with Tran, 11 solists, and they need to have an orchestra. They've got their individual quality is good, but I prefer the 11 who play the best football together than the 11 best players, individuals. Yeah. So it's a very big question mark for me, APOEL.
Maybe this is a good springboard to move to Anorthosis, since we mentioned the three Georgians. I don't know what you think, Stel.
Well, from what I've been told, Anorthosis are happy that those three Georgians have gone, because they unsettled the dressing room, which is probably why Getspaya didn't really make too much of a fuss about it, especially when Ogriashvili left. And from what I've been told a couple of weeks ago, Ogriashvili had clashed with the manager, something that's been kind of swept under the carpet. So, yeah, it's always like a soap opera with that club. But
it's financial as well still. It's financial as well, because I think Getspaya said it was, the other club offered a lot more. We couldn't, so that was our roof, and okay. Yeah, I think
it was also like a man manager. I mean, I know that they're both Georgian, but it was also like Getspaya is very Mourinho-like in a lot of ways, in that he wants certain players to do certain things that don't really fit their like natural talents or attributes, or the natural positional tendencies. Like, okay, I was really he played on the left for Anorthosis like a lot. But he's not like a left midfielder. He's like a left
number 10,
like a left forward, like advanced left forward. Okay, Getspaya had him, tracking back, but it's okay. You track back until midfield, fine. But I mean, I remember against Apollon in Larnaca, he tracked back almost to the corner flag. He won the ball back. He was so gassed out, he gave the ball back to Apollon, and we scored like immediately. I don't think if you're like a naturally attacking player, you want to play for a manager that has you tracking back all the way back to your fullback. You know what I mean? It's that element as well.
It's very interesting you say that, because I think that Henningberg is the same. And that's why maybe sometimes he doesn't sign players with those characters. He wants soldiers. He doesn't want players that are really good at one thing. He wants them to contribute in a lot of other aspects, I mean, other than their natural talent. So that's why you don't see a center forward that scores 20 goals and that's the only thing he's good. That's why he loves Duris. That's why he loves Chepa. That's why he chooses not to have a number 10 that he's only good at set pieces or like a through ball. He wants them to defend and run and track back. And I thought that was the right time to mention that.
Yeah, but they added the Lazaros Christodoulos.
Yes.
It was like, okay, he had a huge injury 2 years ago, like a big injury, and he's 34 years old. But even in preseason, his quality on the ball, like his technique is just so good. Really, really good player.
Very good player.
There we go. Well, look, before we wrap it up, gentlemen, we've got two clubs I'd like to quickly talk about. AEK, who, again, very, very aggressive in the transfer market. They brought in Matt Derbyshire and Thiago, two Omonia greats, as I like to call them. And Anorthosis, as we mentioned, they lost their three key players, but they brought in some decent talent in Carl Lafferty. Roy, what do you make of Anorthosis this season? Do you think that they're going to be mounting a title charge? Because historically, over the past 2-3 seasons, we've seen them do really well at the beginning. And then when it comes to December, they just fall off.
Yeah, that's true, what you're saying about Anorthosis. Anorthosis is the third team from the group that kept the manager for the third year running. So it's Omonia, AEL, and Anorthosis. And even though Getspaya has a style of play he likes to implement, for me, Anorthosis is a question mark again this season. I don't know if they've reached the roof, and the roof is like third or fourth position. I'm not sure. I'm not going to be surprised if they do better, but I think they're going to be okay. But I don't really have an idea of where to place them. They're confusing me a little. I want to see them play a little bit more, and then I'll be able to have a more clear picture in my mind of what they're doing. I'm not overly concerned. I'm not being intimidated, but on the other hand, you can't underestimate them because they are Anorthosis, the team of Getspaya. Getspaya always has good teams. But if they go all the way, I'm not sure at the moment. I have to see them a bit more. What do you think, Kyri?
For Anorthosis, yeah, it's a question mark. I kind of clocked Getspaya like at the last, like in the playoff round for the championship. He switched it up a little bit. He let loosen the shackles just a smidgen more than he did in the first round, especially when he played really stodgy, conservative football. And Lazaros, Deletic, they're like good, positive players. And also No Dalshvili in midfield, who, really good at winning back the ball, but he was useless, like in terms of like attacking football. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a little bit more, a few more elements in Anorthosis that might facilitate a tad bit more attacking football, which might benefit them, especially in the long run, because I had a lot of draws on Anorthosis last year. So it's tricky. Again, they've bought good players, but AEL are a bit more well drilled because of Gerkes, and then APOEL invested heavily. So each team has its own little question mark. AEL missing Mae, APOEL buying a lot of good players, but in one go, and then Anorthosis having a few changes, but I don't know. I think I could see them easily being close to the top 2, top 3, like last year. Not sure if they'll have what it takes to push through to, go really close with Omonia, for example. But yeah, I agree with the Roy in general. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And what about AEK then? Because I have a feeling they're kind of dark horses. And the one thing that is putting me off saying that they're going to be really challenging for the title is their new head coach, David Catala, sorry. He doesn't have much experience. I know he was their youth coach, but this is his first senior job. But then again, as I said, they've got so many experienced players in now. Obviously, they've already got Triskovsky, they've got Agoran there already. So many players have come in it's going to take time for them to bed in. And you know what, I'm going to say this, he won't mind me saying this. I spoke to Matt Derbyshire last weekend about it. In fact, it was after the draw with APOEL in the pre-season game. And he said, look, you could tell there's a team here. You could tell that, you know, the bond is there, the players get on with each other, and all it takes is for them to gel. And when they do, there'll be a force. And if Darbs is saying that, I'm going to believe him. What do you reckon, Kyri?
Yeah, I don't think he would slag his, new club or anything, but they have two really good forwards up front who, okay, they might not have the speed and agility that they had when, during their younger days, but give them a chance, and high quality players for Cyprus, especially if AEK, in midfield managed to create chances for them, because they also added Romo from Karmiotissa, who's a decent player as well, and they also got a better keeper than last year. I like their keeper a lot. It was like the difference at them conceding loads of times. So if they manage to shit less goals, I think they have good firepower up front actually. So I think that all in all, it's a better squad than last year. Like,
brilliant.
And
Roy?
they've added experience as well, because if you look at Akwaran, he's 37, 38. He's got Matt who's 35, Thiago 34. Triskovsky is also 34, 35. I mean, I'm pretty sure when you have experience, you can't be a bad team when you have experienced players. If they manage to gel, obviously, I've seen now that they've signed 13 players. And I can't say there's a lot of teams that have, the firepower they've got up front with Romo on the one, Triskovsky on the other, and Matt on top, as Pume. It's a very good team. And if the rest of the team stand behind and they manage to, it's all a question of at what point they will gel. Maybe AEK's going to take a bit more time than others, but once they do, I think they're going to be a power that, you can't definitely underestimate. I generally think it's going to be a very interesting championship, the one coming. And definitely we're going to have a lot of opportunities to talk about it in more detail. This was just like an introduction, but if I may just add another couple of things before we go, I'd like to talk about Pafos, which is a prime example of a team that money doesn't always make you successful. And they seem to be lacking an identity and a philosophy, even though they got investors pumping in money left, right, and center. They always seem to play at the full capability when everything's decided. So that's why you see them like at the beginning of the season. And because they bring a lot of players, they don't manage to gel, they don't manage to play as a team. The unpleasant surprise, because you expect so much from them. And then when basically everything is almost decided, they start the counter-attack and they win games and they play attractive football. They've got some very, very good players, Pafos. And I'm pretty sure it's a matter of time for them to enter the top 6. And I don't know if that's what they're lacking for them to establish themselves as a new power in the Cypriot league. Additionally, Aris is also a question mark, because they've got an investor now. Maybe Kyri can tell us a bit more, because he lives in Limassol and he knows. I mean, they've signed some impressive names as well. And then you've got Akhna and Doxa, who are powers in the Cypriot league that, are there not just for the football skills, let's say, in the 4 lines, but yeah, that's opening up a can of worms. Yeah.
I'm gonna just 3 quick points. One for AEK, which was a previous topic, but they've added Shatas from Salamina, yeah, who did well 2 seasons ago and then fell kind of like last season. But 22 years old, Cypriot. I'm curious to see if they use him or if he's just going to make the numbers, of homegrown players. But yeah, want to put a pin on basically. For Aris, I haven't really looked into them because they were, you know, in the second division last year. But it's interesting that they signed some good players from, especially from Spain, like Alaves, like Aris, like signing players from Alaves. That they're really curious moves, but we'll see how well they do. For Pafos, actually, I think they merit their own episode because there's a lot of stuff in the background with the ownership and the model that they're trying to implement and the recruitment there. There's a lot of stuff to talk about Pafos. But yeah, there's stuff brewing behind the scenes with them. It's interesting to see if the ownership sticks with it, but I think it actually merits its own little discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, we're going to do more shows throughout the season. There's going to be more and more stories to talk about Cypriot football. It's a world of its own, isn't it? But gentlemen, thank you for jumping on. This is Mappa, the first episode. We haven't spoken about Omonia, and I know we should have done, Roy, but we've got the No Chop This podcast. It's all about Omonia, which is on the Shoot the Defense platform. So look for No Chop This, and you hear me and Roy discussing everything Omonia. Kyri, thank you for jumping on. Really appreciate it, mate. Before we let you go, do you want to promote any social media, anything that you've got?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. It's difficult name, but yeah, it's Nicolaou Kyri. So it's NICOLAOU KYRI. That's about it. I mean, you can find me on Cypress Mill writing about non-football stuff these days, but that's a different discussion. In the coming days, I'll have a short interview coming on the paper with Bobby Zamora and Anton Ferdinand.
Superb.
Nothing too in-depth, but it was interesting. They were in Cyprus these couple of weeks, so got a chance to meet them. So yeah, look out for that. Excellent.
And Roy, you don't use Twitter much, but you're on Instagram, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm Roy No Chop This, and that's my boy Stel.
There you go, it's me on Instagram. So that's it for our first episode of This Is Mappa. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, hit that subscribe button, like, share, tell everyone that you know. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, whatever, just leave a review, 5 stars if it's nice. And hey, we follow us on Twitter at Shoot the Defense. Hit us with any questions. I know that Cypriot football is very popular, especially in North London. So there you go, gentlemen. So until next time, take care.